All right, hey guys, welcome to the finale, part 7 of this series where we build a mobile app, Web3 wallet, mobile Web3 wallet. And so far, so good. We've been able to implement a lot of things. Right, we started from part 1 of this series and we've done a lot. And it's been quite interesting, right? So, everyone that's been a part of this series from the beginning, I want to say thank you to all of you. You really have made it an engaging session, especially when we had issues for like a day. We couldn't even build the app itself. And we still spent 2 hours on the call that day. So I just want to appreciate all of you for being there and for um, making it a worthy experience, right? So building alone is quite can be quite different than building in public like this, where we know that yeah we are doing it and people are watching. So I want to appreciate every one of you for doing that. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So jumping into the app now, and one last thing, please. If you've not subscribed to this channel, just consider to subscribe so that we know that we have a community of people here that are interested in things like this. And then also, if you have any comment or opinion, improvement, feedback, I would really appreciate if you can drop that feedback as fast as possible so I can tackle that and know that, yeah, this is working. So I would really appreciate that. So yeah, so that'll be all from me. So yeah, thank you once again, everyone, for joining. To those that are just coming up, let's jump right into it. So we stopped at this point yesterday where we implemented the send functionality and where we also added this history whereby we're able to see the transactions we performed. So just to test it out again to be sure that everything works as normal. So I'm going to transfer something to this account, this same address you are working with, which is my address. So I'm going to copy the address, which is this guy. I'm going to copy this 8441 and I'm going to go because I'm on Sepolia currently. Let's see the network I am Sepolia, right? So I'm going to send this to that same address. Continue with my address. I have very few here, very small amount of ETH. So I'm just going to before I do that, I'm going to also go back here and send something to this address first of all to this one. So I'll send. I find it difficult to navigate this this guy's interface. It can be so annoying sometimes. So this is I have 0.1, so I'm going to send 0.01 to it. That should be more than enough. So I'll confirm to this address. That's the address on the extension itself. So it's pending, and it should be done anytime now. So 0.01 is what I said. That's simply ITH. So here it should change from 0.010566 once this is confirmed. So I'm just going to go back here and let me refresh this because the wallet should be locked by now. So then you see this 0.01056. So if I paste in I'm going to go back and paste this here. So we've not added the said copy functionality here. That's why I can copy from there directly. If not, I'll just copy from there. So I'll do this from here. I'll go back just a bit here and do this. So I'll go back to the same page, send to this address, continue with address. So I have 0.01 already. That's about 31 point something dollars. So I'm going to just do this 0. Okay, I want to send in dollars. So I'll say I have 31, so I'll send just 3. So if I send 3 here, this should increase to 36, right? Try that. So there's estimate gas, even though it's just to confirm if gas can be sponsored for this address, which is true. So I won't pay for gas. So this is what should happen if we implement it here directly. But currently we tried that yesterday all through and we didn't get that to work. So the aim of this is just to see if the transaction increased. If I check the history, if I check the history now, I should see 3 transactions, right? That means the transactions are valid. I should see 3 transactions, not 2. So I'm going to transaction submitted, wait for confirmation. Well, I'm sure it should be done by now, actually. So if I do this, I should see just now. So it's still pending, I guess. All right, so it's not done yet, so I can't see it. I should be seeing the transaction. Funny enough. So Yeah, this is 0.01128. So that means the balance has increased automatically by doing that. So if I go to the history, it should be reflecting by now. Yeah, this is it. So as you can see, this is the new balance we get from 0x7224, which is the address this was sent to. So if you look at this now, refreshing this, let's see, it should be displayed now 1 minute ago, right? So if I check this, you can see the details is 0.001. This is not formatted properly. I think I need to work on that too. 0.001 here, you can see the same thing from 0x72444843B. The same thing happens here, right? So we have that confirmed. We have the same transaction and everything. So this is internal, this is external. Internal means it was kind of like received. That's no, internal is not that's not the meaning. Internal and external depends. It's just based on you sending from a smart account to another smart account. There's this internal transactions, we call it internal logs, internal transactions. So that's basically what it is. So all of them are received transactions. The internal just makes that difference, right? Because we are sending from two different what they call it now, smart accounts. That's basically why this is like that. So one last thing I would like to do is I want to copy this address to send to this other one. That's the one from MetaMask that I used just now. So you can see now the transaction history still works as normal. So if I go to the send and I paste this here, I have this address. I continue with this. So I tried this yesterday too, like all through, it didn't quite work. So I'm hoping that yes, something else will still come up eventually, and we can debug or probably use another method entirely, which is the same method that I used for the extension, and maybe that will get it to work. So I wanted to try that, but I decided not to, like just to make sure you guys see the same thing, so you can be sure what worked and what did not work, so that you have like very detailed information about it. So that's why I didn't end up trying it. I hope that makes sense. Right, so that was what happened. You can still see it still doesn't work. So we try another pattern. But first of all, today's video is supposed to be about the settings page, and there's a reason for that. I don't want us to do much on this because at the end of the day, it's just one feature left, and then we are done with the send page. But we still have all of this to implement. We still have the no, we already have the about page. So I'm just going to add the card. So for that to happen, I already have this card structure, which I'm going to just make use of and just use from our um, extension. This is the extension, right? And that is how it works. So we have this. So what I'm going to do now is to go here and say, um, right. So I want settings. Status where that shows this aspect, auto lock and all of those things. So that's that. I can always copy that eventually, just to give you an overview of what you have when and not working. So that's the idea. So the next thing we can have here is the password protection aspect, which is okay. No, not that. So the information. So let's go to the information section. This is, as you can see here, there's an information section. I think I missed that. Yeah, this is it, information section. So we can copy all of this. You can see the card structure, and we have this view here. So I'll just copy all of this as the information. But we're not going to be using the, okay, we're just going to copy these two. So I'm going to use that, copy this, go to the settings page. Oh, better still. Okay, yeah, go to the settings page and copy the, uh, so we go to settings. I will make slight changes to it, right? Because we don't have that in the same way. So I'll paste this here. So we don't have flex. So a lot of things we need to change, like the view, like we always do. We need to make slight UI changes. Direction is normal. The class name needs to be used. So gap2 and the py2 as well. So we are going to use those two things. The heading is just going to be text. Size 3 is going to be class name of most probably text for Excel, I guess. I hope that's not too big. You can always make that change. So MB equals to 2. Well, I prefer using gap instead of margin bottom. I really don't like using margin for my code. I try as much as possible to prevent using margins as much as possible. So on click, we change to on press here. I know we don't have on press on card, so it's still not going to work. So it's not going to work. We're going to have to like use maybe the as child. It doesn't have as child, so you can't use any of this. So we just need to make sure that it looks a bit more like what we have. So you can use the border airline and border muted foreground slash 20. That should like give it a very good stuff. And then we rounded it a bit for 2XL. I think makes sense. So we have the flex, but it's going to be the align class name is going to be item center and then justify between. And then we have this and we have this also, which is going to be the same thing, item center, like it's just the same repetitive thing. So what I would do is I was thinking of implementing that, which will give you like a way of creating something like this radix, right? For React Native. It's going to work the same way, the same properties. You can use flex, you can use grid. It's just going to like change the view structure to working with those things. It makes a lot of sense if you have this kind of thing working, like having flex, grid, and all of those things. It would be very nice to have. Those things make your code readable. Like this now, you understand that by seeing this, heading means you have something, the size is structured. So you know that you have a structured um instead of creating just components, right? So your component can change, but this gives you enough flexibility to use to do that. So yeah, that's the way I like. I was thinking of creating that. So if there's any of you that have that already, please feel free to just let me know. So I know someone has created it, and I don't need to recreate it because I feel like that will make my work easier going forward. Because I'm doing a lot of mobile projects these days. So okay, let me not dwell on that. All right, so as I was saying, I do a lot of mobile projects, so I feel like it's just going to help a lot. I have another project I'm working on that also uses leverages the same thing, like literally similar concept, but it's just it's not that easy using that. So that's basically what I mean by that. So we are going to change these icons to this image. I can't use this for React Native. I think I mentioned that the last time. So I'm going to change this to using icon as info. So I'm going to copy this from the icon. Then we give it a size of 14. It's okay. Size here is 18, so I'll call it the same 18. I know that will be bigger than usual, but it should work as well. So we use this. We can use the same color. Then this is going to be as chevron, right? The class name should we should not use the class name for sizing. Let's use the default size that it gives to us. So I'll just use this as a chevron right is going to be just 14. Look at 16 because 4 is going to be 16. So let's give it 16. This arrow here. So remove this. So you can see the card is just basically the same all around. Like all the cards are going to be the same. So we can convert that to a column, but I don't want to do that yet. So let's just do the same thing here. Because it's really the same thing. The only thing that changes is the privacy policy and then the icon being used. So I'll just copy this rather than recreating it. Copy this, replace it with this. Yeah, same chevron right. So I'm just removing this. I'll change this from privacy policy to here. So I'll remove the about. Same thing should work fine. So yeah, so let's test this out to see if it works. Where's our code? Going to settings page. What happened? It's my size. Oh yeah, it's not on. I was wondering what happened. Something should have changed. All right, so let me. So the same thing applies to all the other stores, right? So in this case now, we are not going to be using most of the things we have here. Like for instance, we have managed accounts. We are not going to use managed accounts. Connected apps. We are not going to implement that yet. Connected app requires us to be able to connect to external applications. In this case, if I use this application, because you will see the apps I used here majorly that I've connected to from this application. You will see them here. So it will appear here. I can disconnect them at any point in time. It's similar to how other wallets do it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too different. So then we can have preferences. I want us to copy the preferences also to make use of. So the preferences will lead us somewhere entirely different. So currently, if you check the settings page here and reload the page, you will see that we have that card structure there. I don't even know if it's styled. not check that, but we'll style it, then we'll convert it to a component that we can use. Yeah, this is how it looks like. Like I was saying, it's not style. What we just need to do is to, since it's a card, right, we just need to change this view from here to flex row like this, and that should fix everything because you already say you should justify between. So we are going to do this. Why does it look this way? That's so weird. Okay, not that one. This one. Uh, the one in between should be the one that maintains that stuff. Oh yeah, it should be both of them. Then the one inside as well. So this already gives you the row items row. So this also needs to be flex row. So it does the same thing. So this also needs to be flex row. Same thing here. So it looks more like this now. You can see a bit more like it a bit, not entirely, but at least it makes it looks kind of. So that's why we need to convert it to a component so that one change we make once we affect every other part of it. The only thing we just do is make it a component, make it pressable. Currently it's not pressable, so we can't do that. So we need to make sure that you can press it by using it to navigate somewhere else. So I need to add a pressable component to it like this so that our card is pressable like this, and I hide it into this place. And pressable means on press. I'm not styling the pressable, it's just bare minimum. So on press should do something, should route us to another page where we have the about page and stuff like that. So currently we have router dot push to, so I'm going to import router from expo router. I'm just going to call it about page. So we should have this. So if we check this now, um, what is happening here? Oh yeah, this should be like this. So when if you try this now, try the about page and we click anywhere, you see it takes us there already. So that means it works fine. So we can style it eventually to give it like that motion when you click and all of those other things. But those can be done with time. Like I said, I'm going to make it a component. So that means we can use it once and it appears everywhere. So I'm just going to create a component now, call it settings item. Um, So the settings item is going to have its own props. So the props are going to basically be, what do we need for it? We need the icon, right? So you're going to specify the icon. So the icon is going to be an icon component. Fine. The icon component is coming from where? Oh, we need to define icon component. No. That's not it. It needs to have an icon. It needs to have a text, a title. Let's call it a title. It should have, some of them have descriptions, if I'm not mistaken. I think one of them, okay, just one of them. Yeah, this one have description. So we can have optional description here. Then we have one last thing. The arrow is the same everywhere. You just have a check to like show the arrow or don't show the arrow. So that might just be show arrow, or let me say caret. It's actually a caret, but let's say that's arrow. It's understandable that way for whoever is checking it out. So we are going to pan this to settings item. I'll call it an interface like I always do. Settings item like this. So that way, if I know that this is an interface like this, my settings item, then I'm going to show the icon as GSX element. Yep. And the title, everything should be perfectly perfect. I think it's a React. I'm not sure. Not taking any gamble on this. No. Not React element. I'll just leave it as X element. I'm not entirely sure what it will be right now, but if it doesn't break, that's fine. For now, I'm just going to leave it as what it is. So this is going to be a boolean. So we are not using this here. So I'm going to return a copy of what is inside there, which is this card. I'm copying this, pasting it here as our templates, the same style. No, not this. The one with the pressable, right? Is one we want to copy because now we have a structure that can be pressed. We need to add one more feature to it now that we need to press it. Where does it go to? Where does it go to when you press it? Do all of them need to navigate somewhere? Do they need to do something else? What happens when you press them? So what we want to do is when you press it, you want to have an unpress handler. So the unpress handler is just going to be coming from here like this. That you're going to specify that. So I'm going to specify the unpress like this, automatically done. So that means we have the unpress here. So we need to make sure the show arrow is well optional. The title is compulsory, icon is compulsory, pressable It's compulsory. Even if you don't want it to do anything, specify what must be done because you want it to do something. Is why you are taking it there. Except you don't want to use the item, right? Because everything here does something. When you lock wallet, it locks immediately. When you click this, it pops up something like this. You need to set to put your password to your seed phrase. All of these things do something. So when you click the lock duration, automatically sets how long it takes to lock. All of these things do something. They go to any page or something. So you should also have that functionality implemented. So we have that already. So we need to change all of this. Uh, we need to now change it to our icon. So this is going to be our icon. I'm just going to add it inside of it. Um, React element. Okay, so it's a React element actually. So change signature. Let's change the signature to React element. Yeah, perfect. So this should stop throwing errors for us, if I'm not mistaken. Property. Or should I make it React element JSS constructor? Let me see props. Should I not use it props? Let me see icon. Okay, let's go to Lucid icon. Hopefully that's fine. So it's a Lucid icon type. So that makes sense. So we don't need to use the props. We know that it's an icon already automatically as a Lucid icon. So that works for our use case, right? So it works for what we want to implement, and that's basically it. So the next thing we want to do here is simple. We already know we have this app here. So I'm going to minimize this since we are not using this for now. So we have these two things. We have the icon, we have the app, we have the code itself and the app, right? So we have these two. And the next thing we have here is we have okay, so let's use this. We've used the icon here. Let's use the title. So the title is going to be here also. So the description is just an optional stuff that we're going to add eventually. It's just something that we need to wrap inside of this, or we'll work on that when we get there. So this is going to just be based on show arrow. Yeah, so because it's going to be true by default, right? It's true by default. So I'm going to be making it true by default. So it should always show, except you automatically specify it to be false. So currently we have that. One last thing, what do we have? Description. That's the only thing we are not using yet. So that means we can use this settings item now. Here, we just replace it with this. So we can try it with the privacy policy and see what we have, right? So one more thing, information is just too large. It should be like this, based on what is here. It should be bold, because it's in header type like this. Yeah, perfect. So this is exactly how it looks before. So we should be able to replace this with a settings item like this. So we need to specify the icon. The icon is for the other one, that's for the privacy policy. So let's use I don't know, what can I use for that? Let's call it text. Lucid text. I'm not sure if this works. Okay, so let's then look for another icon. I'll just leave the info icon first of all for now. Then the title is going to be privacy policy. Then the on press is going to be router.push to privacy policy. Of course, we don't have privacy policy yet, which is one thing I'm going to copy and use here. So, of course, I'm putting the privacy policy yet, but we understand what we mean now. You should do something or go to a particular page. So I'm going to add the privacy policy page, and I'll just duplicate the about page here and call it privacy policy. Like this. So that's it. So we have the privacy policy page. If I go there and check that, I'll just change the name from about privacy policy screen. That's it. We're done. It's repetitive, yes, but it works. So if you go back here and click on this, you can see it looks the same way. So that means we can successfully discard this repetitive version of the app. So we currently have this. We have this that takes us here. So we are not done. We need to style it because now we can style in one place and see it everywhere we are using it. So I'm going to go back here because this needs to have its own spacing like this. Right, so you can see that has been done once. So that means we need to replace that with this. So okay, first of all, let's just finish with this. So we see how it looks like. So comparing this with this, you can see it looks a bit better, but then the size is still smaller. So I'm going to call it 20 for the icon. So it can be a bit bigger than intended. Then the text also should be bigger. So instead of base, it's going to be large. So it gives it more room. It has it's bolder. So we are going to give it a gap between the texts, which is going to be 3. So yeah, there's enough spacing between them because there's enough room. So there's no point cramping it. So I'm just going to make it 4. So we have our arrow icon too, which is 18. I'm going to make it 18 just to give it more size. I want to make it 20, but I feel like, yeah, 20 is okay then. So we can easily leave it as 20 since we have already much spacing. So the privacy policy is just going to be probably leaving this as foreground would be best. I don't know. Yeah, something like this is good. So it's more visible. So we have this. All of this is fine, right? So we are going to say font medium is okay. So yeah, it's more pronounced, so we can see that on from any view, whether there's sound or no sound, or it's clear. So it's quite obvious. We can see everything that's happening. And the next thing we do is we can replicate this for the what they call it, the about page, which we have at the top. Same thing happens here about, right? And you can see that's what we need to do, and that's all we are done. So we successfully created the component for both of them. So now we can see this. It looks quite nicer, but much more nicer than the one we have originally. So I can remove this pressable component. We don't need all of this again. So we have this as what we are the first aspect. So the same thing, we can also create a component for this whole grouping so that we can have the settings component inside of it. So we can create something like settings group component. So that means we can have an interface of eye settings, yeah, something like this. Perfectly okay. Eye settings section. So we create something like that too. So it's going to be settings section like this. So it's going to be just return the same thing. So something similar to what we have, I'll just replace this. So that way we know we have the same name, the same everything. This is going to be our title, like the same thing, nothing too crazy, nothing too different. Then the children is going to be what comes afterwards. So we're just going to have this as children. So this is what we have for the settings section. That's all. So if you have to use the settings section now, we can replace the info here. Let's create the next section using that method. What do we have? We are not using the actions, like I said. We work with preference. Let's work with preferences. So settings section is going to be preferences, and they have the settings item. This item is going to have the first thing it has is a wallet doc. It's going to be person. It's a person. Does Lucy have person or user? Let's say Lucid user, or let's just say Lucid user with star or something. Yeah, so that's basically what we have here, the star icon. So the title is going to be, the title here is Lucid. The title is, let's see, what's the title again? Auto lock duration. Then the last thing is when you press it, where does it go to? It should take you to a new page. So it should take you to the lock page. We've not implemented that, but we should. So it will be router.push. Yeah. So let's just assume this is where it should for now, even though we know it should take you to a different page, but we should have this. So the next thing that happens is we want it to have this theme. We want it to have the moon. So it should be Lucid moon star. Same thing. So it should be change theme. Then on press, you take it to the theme page. So we need to have all of those pages. Currently, we don't have any of those pages. So I know we don't need to do it this way. All we need to do is just inside the settings page. What I will have just done, I'll just create a new page. I'll call it theme.tsx. I'll create a new text, theme.tsx, like this. That will create that for me. So inside here, I'm going to just call it function export default function theme screen, like this, return this page container like this, and call it page header like this, and page heading like this. So I'll just call it theme, and page body like this. That's all. So that's all we need to have, and then I'll just create a view, just one view inside of it, import the view, and that's it. Nothing else added. So we are going to add all of this eventually. So the next thing is going to be lock. I'm going to create another file, lock.tsx. So this will be for the lock implementation. So I'll just copy all of this, change it here. I'll call it lock screen. Yep, lock. So this will be lock configuration. Let me rename it to lock configuration. Okay, no, just leave it as lock because it makes a lot more sense like that. So lock settings screen. So I'll call this one theme settings screen because it's inside the settings page. So this one will be I don't know, what do we call it? Change auto lock time. Yeah, something like that. Like this. So that's for that. So for the theme is going to be select theme. I think it's select theme I used or something. Change wallet theme. Yeah. So it's going to be change wallet theme. And that's all we have. So we have show back button for this. We have show back button for this too. Yeah, that's it. So this same thing happens here. So if you go back to the settings page where we have the display, the routing, it's just going to be settings/lock/theme. That makes a lot more sense. So I'm going to change the privacy policy and the about to the same thing. So, but I won't do that yet because we already have it somewhere else. So yeah. That makes sense. So I'm going to copy the theme, the log duration to settings log, and the theme to settings theme, like this. That's all. So go back to settings, you see that we have the preferences automatically set by just changing the text twice. So that makes sense, right? So we need to do one more thing. We don't like the way it's working here. So we need to the settings page, you need to style it to be px of 2. Is it 2 or 3? Let's see if that's 3 first. Yeah, so I like this 3 here. So we need to also add some gaps in between. So I'm going to have the gap before that. So we're going to make it gap of 4. We need to have it, we want to have the spacing in between well defined. So we have that automatically done. So same thing applies to what else? Okay, yeah, so we can do the same thing here. So for this, also for the settings icon, we can decide to give it a gap of 1. So all the children have sufficient gaps. We can make it 2 like this, so it has good gapping. So we make it 2, right? So it's not too much. So that means we can change all of this to settings. You know what? I'm going to leave it. For the information, we see difference now, right? So we can remove, this is the settings page here, and we have this. So we still have one more thing we want to add. It's not perfect yet. So let's see if we can complete this in the first hour. If you can completely complete this in the first hour and see what we get. So we have the security. The security is another section. So I'm just going to duplicate this. That's how easy it is for us to create a new section now, since we've already made it convenient now. So it's going to call it preferences like this. I'm going to call this, just put in this comment here so you can see what happens here. Preferences like this. So I'll call this is not preferences, this is security, I guess. I'm not sure. Yeah, security. So I'll call this security. Yep. So this is going to change. Security contains lock icon. So I'm going to call it lucid lock. Right. There's a lucid lock with keyhole and open. I think I'll call it lucid lock keyhole open. No, just keyhole. So that will work from here. So I'll change this to lock wallet view seed phrase. So in this case, there's no view seed phrase, just lock wallet. So lock wallet simply means you lock the wallet automatically. You can do that you should be able to do that from the home page. I'll implement that, but this is just for another way that can work. So I'm going to change this here. I'm going to change this here. I'm going to change this. This will not be a router push. It's just going to trigger an action. So this will just be okay. Let's see. It's going to be an alert. Alert. I will lock the wallet, something like that. So that's what will happen instead of it doing any action or performing any action. So the next thing is what view seed phrase. We don't want to implement any of the view seed phrase or backup. Well, the backup is done already for you because you can sign in with your email. So even if you change devices, you already have it backed up. So there's no backup meant to be done. This wallet extension here can still be backed up. Like you can literally back up your wallet and all your faucet and everything from here. But in the mobile app you are building, because we are working with refunds and we are using our Kevin that already has all of those things done for us, we don't need to back it up. You can port to like many different wallets, have it on different wallets, and it works perfectly for you. That can only be accessed by you through your verification process. So that makes sense. So the view seed phrase, we can do that also, but no, not view and seed phrase. Yeah, seed phrase is just a security flaw in my opinion. So for now, at least, we are not ready for handling seed phrases. So I'm going to remove this and say view seed phrase is not needed. So automatically remove this. And so I'll just remove this. We don't want this. So that's the security aspect done. So then we have the transaction logs as the last thing. Transaction logs is similar to the active actions. The reason why I have this here is because, like I said, this is for people that wants to like dive deeper into how the crypto space work, and you don't really want to do all of that by losing anything at all. So in this case now you have much more verbose things happening here. So we don't need all of this in the mobile section. We don't. We just need the about page, privacy page, the auto lock, the change theme, the lock wallet, and then a password handling. Like for instance now, let me say, let's add password implementation here. Let's change this to, let me change this to, uh, let me call this Lucid, what's the name of this thing on your thumb that gives you your, not thumbs down, fingerprints, yeah, fingerprint. Let's use fingerprint or fingerprint pattern. I don't know, but let's use this as set passkey. So we can set the passkey actually from here. Let's see. You can see this. So let's see fingerprint pattern. Let's see what it gives us. Let's see the difference between it. Yeah, it's literally the same thing. So what was different? Nothing. Okay, so we have that. So now we have our security preference information. You can see that we have literally everything done. Nothing to bother much about. So we have the gap. We have the, let's make this 5. We still have enough space to use, so it shouldn't be cramped. Yeah, so we have all of these, this information, preference, security ones, and then we have all of those configured. And everything works. They have their individual pages that you can go to. They have their auto lock duration, which is not implemented, theme, which is not implemented, lock wallet. I will lock the wallet, set passkey, it takes you to the chain theme wallet. So set the passkey, we have a process. It take you to a process of setting your passkey, which is going to be done inside of here too. So I'm just going to duplicate the theme. I'm going to call it passkey, where you have to set your passkey actually. So this is just the passkey settings screen. So set add passkey to your wallet. So passkey is just an easy way to make you sign in easily, so that you can just use your fingerprint or your verification, whether facial recognition or your thumb, anything that you set up as biometrics. So let's say add biometrics. I think that's better. Most everybody understand passkey, so let's just call it biometrics. Biometrics sign up. I think most people are familiar with biometric sign up. So just let's see what happens. So that's how easy it is to implement the settings page. You can see how well that has happened. So biometric sign up, setup. Why not sign up? Biometric setup. Oh yeah, login. Yeah, I think biometric login is perfect. Add biometric login, so you can log in with your biometrics, your fingerprint. So this will just have a whole load of signing with your fingerprint and stuff like that. So that's actually pretty straightforward. We have a way of implementing that. I have a documentation that shows how that happens. So the LLM can help us implement that as fast as possible. So one more thing we need to implement now that we have all the pages and the stuff set up. So let's go back to the settings page and make use of this difference for this that we have here. So as you can see, we have the same thing. I'm just going to change this to using this view. So we've implemented all of this, right? Yes. So I'm just going to make this the view. What am I looking for? Yeah, this one. So what was this? All right, this is, where did I copy that from? Okay, yeah, this one. So we have this. All right, so we have this. So now this is what we have: information, preference, security, all perfectly implemented. So we can implement the card also for the old stuff, but that's not really a priority right now. So we are only working with the priorities that are like extremely compulsory, extremely needed for us to work with. Like for instance, the auto lock timeout we've not implemented, so we can't have access to all of these features here, right? We don't need to back up anything, so we can just say backed up by default. We can say the auto lock implementation is not being set, so we can't implement that. So we don't have any of those things. So that's that. So this is what we need to have that work. So let me minimize this. So for the card, we already know we have the card. We have this view that doesn't work as a view. So that means I have to class name flex row items center and gap one and mp3. So we know we have the shield. I'm going to call this icon as equal to this shield check, and class name is cn. Cn is imported from utils, is initialized, is this, that's for this. So this is text here. Class name is font bold, the size is text excel. Yeah, we have this now. Security status is done. And so we have basically all of this. Same thing happens here. We don't have view, div, we have view. Space Y, we don't have space Y, we have cap 2. Text. Flex row, item, center, justify between, and then this is this. So we don't have color gray. So anyway, we have color this. We are going to change it to class name foreground. So we are going to remove the color stuff. We are going to remove the size too. Size is by default. Same thing happens to the initialize. The initialize here is simply talking about if you have your password set up. So in this case, if you can sign up with the extension, you can create an account without setting up your password, just a one-time disposable account. You don't need to do all the setup to make it work. So, but in this case now, we don't want to have that with this wallet. Of course, we can still do the same thing because we don't have wallet or your password set up yet. It should be part of the onboarding process, but we've not done that yet. So we don't need to bother about this for now. So this will just be passkey. It will just be one that tells us about your passkey. If your passkey is set up. Currently, we don't have password set up, in fact. So we can't even worry about this yet. So, but we know that we can do that. So we just implement something that looks like this. Yeah. For now, that's just fine. So we have enabled or now what? I'm just going to remove all of this because initialize is not initialized yet. So I'm going to import shield check. So I'm going to create something called const initialize. I'm going to use a React use state. It's going to be false by default, so this can work. So it won't bug us extremely. So I'm going to say initialize here green else red text red 500 600 is fine. All right, so is initialize. So we use the use state by default, we import it, and yeah, that's it. So that error should be gone. Class name flex row, item center, we have that, and gap one. So we've done 48 minutes already. Our settings page is almost done. So we have the enabled, which is like, which is what we have here. You can see it's enabled. just this icon here. So the icon is just telling us that your password is enabled. So I use the same icon from Lucid as password. I don't think there's a password. Lucid password. Let's see if it has password. If it doesn't have password, we use the thumbnail because yeah. So we say we have fingerprint. So yeah. So that means it's enabled. Fingerprint will work with that. Same thing happened here. We'll copy this here, replace that with this one. Review. We have this. This is just going to tell you if it's not enabled. It gives you this I don't know, just gives you something. So we can just call it um icon as lucid fingerprint. Let's see the option we have pattern. I won't want to use fingerprint. Lucid eye. Yeah, I'll just call it scan eye. Size 18. Like we have it this way. So this is what we are going to have. So this will be is initialized. Yeah, so we have that perfectly implemented. So the next thing also is this one for the flex is going to be view class name flex row items center justify between. We remove this. Same thing applies to this. We have class name text muted foreground. Then we have text color as backup. Well, we implement something like that too. So let's just replicate this as backup. Set as backup. Still false, so it's going to always show the false. So in this case, just going to be class name. So we're going to have a CN here, something like this. So it's going to be text green 60, text amber 600. Yeah, something like that. So as backup, same thing. Here is going to be nope. So we're going to copy this here and paste it here because it's the same thing, literally the same thing. So this is going to be view. Same thing happens here. So we have this color is gray, so it's basically just text muted foreground. So we have the color as grass here, which is the green color we have, but in this case we don't have a green color, so we just say text green 600. So we change this to this, we change this to view, completed the aspects. Then for this one, which is the lock, so we change this lock to icon as lock lucid lock key like that, size 18, yeah, like that. So we have all of that. Last thing we do is we can change this one. Same thing applies here. This one is literally going to be the same thing with what is here. So we have that here too. So the badge, we are going to import the badge from badge. You know, we have different variants here. It looks this way. So that's for gas sponsorship. We can get gas sponsorship from yeah, so the badge doesn't have a color, but we can set a class name for it. And the size doesn't have a size, so we can just set the class name. We set a CN for it. We already have our CN set up. So the gas sponsorship format auto log timeout already exists. So auto log timeout is just going to be the same way it's easy, 15 minutes. So I'm just going to set a time. Let's see what the time is for this one so we can use the same thing. Yeah, something like this. So I'm going to copy that and paste it here, the same as our states for these guys. So that should just fix it. We already have that. So gas sponsorship status is going to be this also. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, there should be no more issues. Everything should work fine. Even though most of them are just static, we've not implemented most of them. But we should be good to go. We should have something like this now. What did we add? That should not be added. Let's be backed up. So what does that look like? Cloud. So it does this cloud. Yeah. So its icon has Lucid Cloud backup, right? So Lucid Cloud backup for when it is backed up. Size is 18. And if it's not backed up, we have icon as Lucid Cloud. Just Lucid Cloud, there's no backup. So size is 18, like this. So if you go back here, you see we have all of this. So interestingly, all the texts are not added in a text. It's not wrapped in a text, so they're not going to work. Keep forgetting to do that. Okay, so we have that complete. That should work fine now. Then we have this here. Should work also as expected. And what else? Not backed up. What did I do? This should be the background, not the text. Something like this. Yeah. So we don't know if it's sponsored yet. We've not added that functionality, but you see we have this green colored stuff here. So it's not really an issue though. We need to add one more thing, which is for the text here added. The text here added. All right, let me minimize this so we can be seeing the changes as we work on it. So the password protection text is not being added yet. Okay, yeah, so we have another text called not enabled. So we have that. So everything is done successfully. So we have all of this implemented and perfectly working well for now. And then this is not a scroll view, so we can't scroll. So we need to make it a scroll view. Yeah, so that way So problem with a scroll view is not going to respect the gap. So we need to import scroll view from React Native. So going back to settings, successfully implemented that. So this is complete. Yeah. All right. So now this is complete. We have all of this set up. One last thing is there's this orange color inside here, which we know where it's coming from, right? Uh, it's the red. All right. So we have this. Yeah. So we have that perfectly set. We have the about page. We have our privacy policy page, and then we have auto log duration not done yet. So currently we have all of this set up. One last thing is for the gas sponsorship, we can determine if gas sponsorship is set by just importing from client. So something like this. So just like we have gas sponsorship at the top here. In fact, let me take that from here. Client from this dot check gas sponsorship eligibility. So this is a function we can use to determine if it works, right? So this is expected one, we got 0. So this just the way we have it in the send. We need to have something similar here to be able to determine. So we are checking this. We are checking the gas sponsorship. Just one of the settings we need to check. Yeah, cannot be posted inside the body of the function. Okay. So currently, what do we have? Let's see our console. Eligible is false. Well, it should be because we already set its eligibility to be true. I'm wondering why most of our configurations for this it's not working as expected. But it should be working. Okay, so this is fine. Yeah, so eligibility should be working because if you use the address as a target, that's my address. It's supposed to work, which is the actual user address. It should work. And even if it doesn't work, we can always use that as so you can see this, it works now. So that's what is expected to show actually. It should be telling you eligibility is active based on what you configured. So this is supposed to be how it works. So this is why our send address should be working. Currently it's not working and can't seem to understand why that is. Um, so if you even try another address, let's say we try one of the addresses from here. Pick one of the addresses from here. Let's copy this. That was received the other time, right? So if I use this, I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I think it's supposed to. As you can see, still active, right? Because eligibility is supposed to be working for that address. You can see eligibility is true. This is the call data when you use the right details for it. So this is perfect. It should be working. So the same way we have eligibility working here, configure this, the same way we are supposed to have it inside of our send page here, just to determine if you have eligibility set for the account you want to send to. For instance, it should be able to tell you have eligibility set. You can guys will be sponsored or something. So let's even do that now. Just since we already have that, let's go to the details page and load that in here. Let's do that at the top here. So what we want to do is just to update the status, the eligibility status. So because we have an alert for network qualify for sponsorship, which is this. So we can immediately, like I said, we're going to come back to this, right? I said that yesterday. So this is where we are coming back to it now. So what we want to do here is we want to set network qualify for sponsorship and it's enabled and all of those things. So we use the same gas sponsorship stuff here and we do the same thing. We just set it here as a state. This is just a state. And then we set it here. And so we automatically know that this will be enabled by default. There are no validation errors. Currently, we don't have validation errors, but we can comment this out. We use that data. Network qualifies for sponsorship. We already know that network qualifies for sponsorship. If not, it will have given an error. So we know that validation error does not exist. So we remove the validation error like this. And if you try this now, you will see you can sponsor the fee for this transaction should be displayed. It should be displayed. But it keeps going off when you try that. Why? Why does it go off? I think it renders multiple times, right? Oh, it renders. Yes. So we know why that happens. We know why it is rendering, right? It's just the way we use it inside of display. It's supposed to be done once. So probably inside they use callback or something so that we can always know. We use the use effect in this case. So it's really run once or whenever the network changes, or whenever the address changes. So in this case, it's just going to be whenever address change, the chain changes, or whenever the to account changes. That's all. So we want to have that there. So that means that way it shouldn't re-render extremely much. It should not just be rendering that way. So when we come back here and we close this and we click here, you see it's just render once and tell us that yes, we can sponsor gas fee. So the same way we have it here is the same way we should also have it inside of the settings page to avoid that rendering for this also. So we're going to put that inside the use effects. We know we don't have a chain and the two accounts here. So first thing I'm going to do here is import use effects, and then we condition this with the user, right? As long as the user is the same thing, it's not going to render again. So that's basically what the same thing in this case. So it works well, it works perfectly well, nothing to change, nothing else. And we can see that our first alert here works now. So we can remove this call out. We can sponsor the gas fee for this transaction, automatically works because we can. So we can change the text also actually. We can change the text because we can. So oh, what is this? This is wrong. So what I did here was if we can, if gas sponsorship is not enabled, an amount is this. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. So this is wrong. Supposed to be working the same way it is working. So we are just supposed to have a button at the end of this file that tells us that okay, click on the button to enable gas transaction. Something like this is what we want to have. That should be done. So in this case, we don't have text as anything. We just have it as uh, no, we don't need all of this. We don't need all of this. So we just have this as view. We need the test here. Enable gas sponsorship. Then we need the switch. The switch is supposed to come from the component which we already downloaded. When you check this, that's the size. Does it have a size? No, it doesn't have a size. On check change, we don't have it checked. False. So when you click the button that it gives to us, we should see something like save settings. Save settings here should show you that oh, you do not have gas, you are not, you can't sponsor gas, so you should do this. Yeah, save settings doesn't exist, so we should have something like this. So let's go back to send page and paste the address. So let's copy the address again from here, paste this address in. Try with this. So you should tell me this should be blue. It shouldn't be the green color that we had here. It should be blue 600, something like this. That's if there's no gas sponsorship. But we know there will always usually be gas sponsorship. So we do not need this condition as much as I thought. So I'll just comment this out, right? I'll just comment that out because we don't need this condition as much as I expect us to. So I'm just going to comment this out. Remove this, go back to this that we have here and comment this out. So the one we need itself is the one that tells us that we have gas sponsorship enabled, which is this one. So yeah, this should be the one that we need to work. So we don't need that condition. We don't need the network error condition as well. So what else do we need? We don't need those two. We just need this. You won't pay transaction. You won't pay for transaction fee for. You won't pay for transaction fees less than $1. That's the condition for this. So you'll be paying for transaction fees if your gas fee is less than $1. Okay, so that's exactly what happens here. So now we can see this works and it works good enough. It works perfectly well. You see that stuff there. You see the condition there and you know that yes, this condition is valid. So we have this up and down condition. So now this is fine, right? One last thing that will make it look exactly like what we have here is for us to add the card that handles that for us. This card here. You can see the same thing here. So we need this card. So then it looks exactly like what is here. But we do not need the card. It's just a way of telling you that okay, this is who you are sending to, this is where you are receiving from. It's basically just for you know, just to make it easy for you to know what is happening. So that's what we need to do. So now we see that our alert is coming and shaping up, right? We have everything we need to make it work. So validation errors, same thing. We have our validation errors. We have the red if it doesn't work or if something goes wrong. We've not implemented validations yet. I'm just pointing out how to do that. So we have the settings, which is active. Once it is changed, it automatically goes to active. So that means it works perfectly well. Then we have the about page, which is the same thing. Security status. We do not have our password implemented. That means passkey, which is so we are saying let's say we are using passkey for this, which makes sense. So let's say we are using that. So what we need to do is to go to I want to implement passkey. I have a document here that tells us how we are going to do that. We should go to LLMs alchemy. Yeah, so this is it. Use that passkey. Now this is something I copied from the alchemy documentation, right? It just tells you how to use the passkey. And what you need to do is just call the use add passkey. Let's even see if it works, first of all. So if you go to the settings page, which is the set passkey page, I want to add it in the passkey page. So I'm going to implement something like that. So I'm going to copy this from here, right? I'll just copy that except for the import. I don't want the import. I want to see if it actually exists. So we'll check the user passkey to see if it works from React Native. So yeah, that's good. It exists. So that means this way we can actually add passkey to our implementation. So because I'm using a simulator, I don't know if a passkey will work, right? I don't know. It's not a physical device, so it might not work. But let's just see. If it doesn't work, we know that yes, it is there. When we are testing with a physical device, we can then implement this test. So how do we use it? There should be an example here. There's no example, really. So I assume we are supposed to call the add passkey somewhere, just the same way we did the other ones. So we call the add passkey. Okay, we can call that from here. So we just call the so we say add passkey and credential options. I have no idea what that is, but I'm just going to assume that this is going to tell us what we need. Add passkey requires credential options. Okay, no, let's consult the documentation to be sure. How can we? The documentation, which is I thought we have that open. Yeah, okay. So let's see this. Use add passkey. Yeah, that is it. Okay, React Native. Let's go to the hooks because it should be in the hooks. Use add passkey. So using adding the passkey, let's see what we get. Let's see how it looks like, how it works. So if I click this, all right. So it's defined in this a custom hook to handle the addition of a passkey to an already authenticated account, which includes executing the mutation with optional parameters. Okay, so that means it doesn't take any parameter. Okay, that's good. But we see that we can take it takes parameters of this which are optional, so there's no need to like bother about what to pass to it. So let's just say we call this function, right? Literally, that means I don't need to use the parent function there. So I'm just going to do this console dot or basically an alert alert success passkey added successfully. So let's import this from React Native. Same thing happens when it has an error. In fact, there's no need for it's already to display the error. This console log you for the rest page. We don't want that duplicated. We'll be able to track it. Um, so I'll comment that out. It might prove useful. I'm going to go back to the passkey and I'm going to add a better structured passkey screen error. All right, so let's do this. Let's check. And let's try adding passkey, right? There's no way to even click that. So let's add a button that says add button from components. Let's say press of this button or happens. And add passkey. It's adding passkey. So the first thing we need to check is if there is user. If user exists, user equal to use user like this. So we need to import use user here, but from React Native. So if there's no user, if not user dot account address, what we do is return you need to be authenticated to access this page. So that means it gives you a button that redirects you to the. So this button should redirect you to the login page, which is the sign-in page. Yeah, like this. So we have a button that says go to sign in. Yeah, that's it. Nothing too crazy, nothing too difficult, nothing else. So, but if there is user, we know there is user here. So it just give you a card that says card body. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. There's nothing for card body. It just says that, oh, yeah, you are authenticated, something like that. Text doesn't exist. Text from this, card from this. Authenticated. Add your passkey. So there should be a way for us to know if a passkey has been added already or not. So in this case, there is no way to find out because we don't have a way to find out that. Okay. So hopefully this won't be like the one we had all through yesterday that refused to work, which is our send functionality. Even though clearly we followed documentation, it refused to work. So we need to also be sure this will not look like that. So if I click from here, yeah, already an error. Our PID must be set in configuration to use passkeys in React Native. So, okay, I think I know why. We need to go and set something from the config, from the dashboard, before we can make use of this function. So if you do not set that, we can't use this function. But it's fine to see that, yeah, it works. So you authenticated that your passkey, that's correct. We are so that's fine. PG transparent. All right, so that's cool. There is no border. All right, so we can. You authenticated that your passkey. Let's add some start to it. P2. Okay, no, let's stick to the consistent styling. Cap 4. All right, so yes, so that means that is fine too. So until we do the configuration. So what else do we need to implement? This theme, the theming stuff is going to move into that place. The logout also needs to move in. So yes, I added this. This is working now. We just need to strip off a lot of things we don't need for easy access to some of the things. But I know we don't need it for much, just for like things that has to do with the user, because like setting passkeys or stuff or locking your account can be here. Like I said, we don't need that. It's just an optional thing that is there for now. So successfully, we've done all of this. We've done the accounts. You can see we have the history page, which we can also really customize. I do not like the way it looks here, but that is not the main thing right now. Let's finish with what is quite important. Then we jump to that aspect of the code. So let's remove this And let me just plug my device. Okay, so we have what else? We can switch our accounts to multiple accounts. We can use multiple accounts. We have to set up. First things first, where is test form? Okay. Now you come for the search. So wrongly done. Why did you translate after you added the top? Perfect. So now this is styled properly, better than what was there before. But at least we have it working now. We can height this to 14 or 16 to give it that better feel. You can add the background of the heart so it's more pronounced. Yeah, I think that will work for it. Then you can round it like this so it's more rounded. Give it okay, so now this is fine. Okay, so we have that properly working. Then our search is working. If 14 request for the search is too big, this is perfect. And the categories can also be modified. We have the text to the foreground. We have text unlimited. We have drop down menu which doesn't work. This is because of the button and this thing. That is supposed to show. Oh, yeah, so we think that works now. So now we can start the program trigger to be BG count. And not the content, it's not trigger itself. Let's go to this. The content itself, so you can stand that. So now we have this to show it's more like this. And it has a bit more border. And we have border for the color, the foreground, so it should be that border size. Then it will out. So we have this before. Now it works well. Let's see if it should still work. Press the button. So it doesn't work. Oh, yeah, button. Yeah. Okay, So it's not work though, so stay on press and how do I go past. So if I say press to take what I'm not doing it. There's no need for this stress. As long as it works here, then we have it working. So the next thing we have is categories, the select all, which is usually what we have for what is the category queues. Okay, which is this. We have the pressable, which are pressable or not, but nothing happens when you click it, because it usually does not. So we go to the category, also point, then we have the badges. The colors of the badges are weird. Doesn't look as yeah, rich as this ones. Yeah, but we can always work with that. So then we have this what else? So clicking the badges doesn't tell you that. So there's maybe an issue here. Put on the categories and put category this, this. Okay, we'll fix this actually. Let's just try completing this first. The text also for the categories clearly written. Text is program, primary program. Right, so we have all of this. The only thing that is not working is the fact that we can't click the buttons. That's the only issue right now. But it works. Every other thing works. When we try this, it's space as expected. So now we have our history, right? Which the last thing is just the card itself, which is from the list, not from here. So it's from the transaction list. So transaction list is the one that have this card layout, which is the render item. Transaction item is where it is. So if you go to transaction item, you can see it's pressable, active opacity is 70. So if you click on it, you can see the opacity changes. And it has the refresh functionality as well. So, but then the card itself has this card color, which is quite similar to what we have here, but prefer it to. So let's go to the history. Inside the card body, let's have the view. Most probably a scroll view would be best. So, but we can have we have a scroll view, then wrap it in this view that we just defined. So if you do this, we don't need the flex column, we just need the gap because already gapped, and then we need the padding of 4 to give a consistent size uh, for all of them. So we don't even need this view to have any style. We really need it for the list itself. So for the list, we also define a view so that we have more control of it from the parent side. And then we say P is 4 in this case. Yeah, so this should give us what we want. So in this case, it makes a lot more. Okay, this is too much. All right, so we have this, and then we have that. So all of these filters are probably not needed. We really don't need to implement the filters, except you want more. This is meant to be like as easy as possible. One thing I would like to implement for the filter would have been to put it by the side here, which makes it way easier and gives more room for the transaction history itself. Uh, So something like this. Let me show you. The drop down menu trigger should not be displayed here. It should be displayed inside of this place, somewhere here. So it should have its own spacing and everything. It should have its own spacing. It should be um, okay. We can't give the icon this class size guys. Size property is going to just misbehave it. Use it as not. We can use that in the text, I believe. Um, oh no. Okay. First thing to check is this absolutely defined? Does it take the entire space? Yes. Do we need to implement the trigger to take the space too? Most probably yes. So it can take enough space with this. So we want it to have a width of, so we want it to have a width of 32. And this is a bit small, so let's make it 20. So it clearly doesn't affect it to that side. Okay, so what we need to do is this is already existing here. We can't also pad it on both sides. Then we absolutely that. It doesn't really make sense having that there. So what we are going to do is remove this. Yes. We know we can't use the flex there. Yeah. So we have it like this. Well, this should justify between directly and then with a gap of 2. So if I'm not mistaken, this has taken the entire space. Yeah, like that. So flex 1 should give this up ample room to grow. So this should be again. So this should have its own flex 1 also. Uh, like this. This should be in the center. This should have a size of, yeah, like this. Okay, so yeah, this makes sense. We want to have that filter by that side. So we want to remove the colors. This should still look like a button. Currently, it should look like a button, but it doesn't look like, and we can't have a button there. So what we can have is a pressable, if I'm not mistaken. We can only have like a pressable feedback, then style it to look like one. Or most probably we can just have a background of card, yeah, or and round it almost full like this, which should be like Excel. So it looks more like a button. We can make this 12. Yeah, so 16 just becomes 2. So we have that as a button. Then we can make it secondary. Yeah. So that means it can be clicked, make the 16 so it's more visible. And if you click this, it still look like it was before. So which is cool. And we need the border. Need the border, the line. So same thing looks like this. All right, so yeah, this is nice. So we have that. We don't need categories view, just the waste of space. So we don't need that. We only need the categories here. Since we already have the 5 categories selected here, and then declare all and everything. So one last thing to do is to go to the lists and modify the list itself, the transaction items itself, which is where we need to change. And yes, to use the similar stuff we have here requires us to have the the text, the colors that was used there, and the colors used there are very subtle colors, so we can't use that. We need to we strategize. We need to be creative here. So I'm going to use a different color entirely. Different color that will be easier is this. So looking at the background itself, right, you can see it says right side amount and category, which is the text you see here, and all of those things. So we'll come back to how it's being displayed, but this is a bit better display, right? So we'll come back to that. One last thing, let me pick something from here. There's something here called the dot spacer that I created. I created that for all of my projects, and it has since grown into something I use almost every time for all my projects. So I'm going to go to dot spacer and copy the dot spacer and the empty. So I'll copy these two. I'll minimize this again. Go here, copy to my components, dot spacer and the empty. So those two are like useful. So the dot spacer is I need to change the way it is because it uses div currently, and this uses yeah. So it uses div, which is not going to work. So we change the text because that's what we want it to be. The text is going to look like going to have the class name of text muted by default. BG muted foreground. This is going to supposed to be a view, not a text. Can't use a text here, so just a view. Same thing applies to this, and then the color needs to be because we don't have a color. And this will no longer be PG green, it should be muted foreground. Yeah, so that's it. So that's all I need for the dot spacer. The empty itself is a very different stuff. The empty is just something you display when you get an empty page or there's an empty view or something. I really don't think I need this. I can use AI to make this change, so it's not something I work on. Let's go back to the history, not to be in order not to deviate too much. So we have this text here and the red. So let's go to the left side, which is this. So we have this very subtle colors, which is 400, 100. So I'm going to change them from 100 to 400. So yeah, it looks more realistic or acceptable. So we should even be much darker, like 800, because we want the colors to be acceptable. But then that's not the entire thing. We need to now make it a bit opaque. That's how it's supposed to look like. So it looks a bit more like this, opaque but still visible, something like this, right? So we need to now increase the arrow itself. The arrows are fine. 600 is a good color for both. We can make it 800, so it's more pronounced. Let's see. Okay, it's 500 should be 500 should be okay, I'm sure. It might be too light. Okay, yeah, so it's a perfect color, perfect blend, but it's too light. So I'm going to make it 500 and then stroke the let's make it 500. I think 500 should be a perfect balance for all that. Yeah, 500. Then if you stroke it, it should pop out more. So you stroke it to 3, so it should be exactly more pronounced like this. So I would like to test the send, but since the send cannot be tested yet, so yeah, we'll still find a way to make it work. So two more things. The padding is way too much, like extremely much. So it should be like this. It's even to me, it's even a bit too much like that. We need to do one more thing. We need to give this a border of airline, a border of muted foreground and 20 the same way we have this, just to have the same border, just to demarcate between those two things. We need to have that. Then we need to, for the content, we need to reduce the padding a bit. So for me, it's going to be px is 2, and the py, if I'm not mistaken. Why is this? Oh, yeah. So this should not be the one just finding the padding. So the padding should be going here. Yes. And yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so we're going to make it three, maybe four. That's fine. Alright, so this is a perfect way to look. Then to make it look a bit like this more, this is the design system we're working with, so that's why we're working hard to make it look like that. So I'm going to make it look a bit more like this. The icon itself should not be justified, center should be start. So nah, that's not what I mean. Alright, so this should be center, this should be, this is where we have the, okay, this should be start. Yes, like that. So it gives more room to have stuff downward, and so it should look better than this. So one last thing is we want to know where we send to. So we have the from, we should have the to. So we receive that from, which is perfectly correct. I think it's setting one to lowercase. I don't know why it's doing that. Um, this should be okay. So the space is fine. So we have that from so and so. Then we want to also make this font medium for this. So it's more pronounced. The small should not be small, it should be base. Should be able to see your transaction details at a glance. Then the format address itself should be either text. The text should be bolder, font semi bold. Should be bolder than the other one. It should be same text muted foreground. Or it should even be more pronounced. Just leave it at the foreground itself. So we know where it's coming from. So we received so and so from so and so. The amount you receive should be displayed after the receipt. It shouldn't be like somewhere else entirely. So the amount should be where's the amount? The amount is down here by the right formatted value. So the formatted value is coming from here, which is just if the transaction of value is less than 0.01. Okay, you know what? I'll just do this myself. Transaction value dot to fixed 6. But let's just implement that ourselves. Transaction value should be what is displayed. Immediately you have to work on the received, right? So you want to have that. So you want to have something like transaction dot value. You have something like 0.02, which is exactly what we need, which is correct. So this shouldn't be small. In fact, it should be bigger than the normal one. So this should take the weighted foreground. This should take that. So it should be received so and so. This should be font bold. These are what we have here. Right? This should be semi bold. Feed or medium too. Yes. So you should have that. Yes. So this should be bigger. It should be text large. Text large. Yeah, so it should be way bigger. Then the leading should be tight. So it doesn't have this. Right. So we have it this way, perfectly aligned. So we have this as received this particular stuff from this, and the block number should also work. One thing is the timing. The time it was received is not being calculated. We should be able to calculate that time. So we'll see how we calculate the time from the other side. Then the block number is this. So the block should be defined this way too. Very subtle, but should be displayed well. So we can see the difference here is this. So when you send a transaction, you can see all the transaction received. If it's coming from if it's a sponsored transaction, you will see the gas sponsored here. If it's coming from a non-smart account, we see the gas used. So this was something we implemented just to show the difference. But in this case, too, we want to implement something similar because when you are getting transactions from people, you don't want to know if it's sponsored or not. So we might not even implement that. We just want to know the gas used for that transaction to get to you. So that's what we're going to calculate here. So we're almost done with the settings page. One last thing to implement is the block. So let's implement the block. I'll try to like resolve the block. Let's go down here. We have the block. So I need to remove this totally. This one by the right side. I'll come back to that. So let's go to formatted time is not being displayed. For some reason, you can see the time doesn't get displayed at all. So and I think I know why that is. We are going to go fix it. We're going to fix that. So we know where it's coming from. We know where the value is coming from. We have a value sent from so 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 and so, received from so 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 and so also. So we have that, and okay, yeah. So the amount you received should be here. The value transaction of assets. This will tell you the asset that was received. So we need to have that not as a string, but like beside it directly, just like this. So we are going to have transaction of assets beside it, like this. So we can remove this category variant stuff because we don't want to have a batch. Something like this is good enough. Very simple, straightforward, formal, not too colorful, so it won't look too confusing at a glance. So you want to have it like this, receive this amount from this person. You already know what is there. Straightforward, it's simple, it's subtle, it's fine. So the same thing here, font medium for from and to the text base is being used. It doesn't make any difference. So yeah. So the block itself, where is the block coming from? Formatted time. Where the formatted time is showing block. For now, show block as a simple identifier. All right, so we show the block itself. So we just show formatted or block number. So that's what we are going to show here. And so I'm just going to implement that ourselves because we already know what's supposed to be there. So this is going to be removed. It's going to be block transaction block number. Yeah, something like this. No, we need to format the block number itself. Pass integer block number this dot radix. Yeah. So we need to have it this way. So this is how it should be done. So because we want to pass the integer, so it's going to give you this. It's going to display this way. Then to locale string. Wow. So now we have it this way, 10,000, 029. Just the same way we have it here. You can see this, but it's quite small, so we don't want it to be that small. We want it to just be normal text. Same thing, something similar now, not too different from what we have here. So we are going to remove the margin top. Because there's a margin top here, so you can see there's more space here. And the reason why this space was added because of the gas sponsored, so you can know if gas was sponsored for the transaction or not. That's one of the reasons we added that there. So that's that for this one. I think we made this small, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure now, but I think it was made small. Then the font was medium. All right, I'm just playing with colors here, so it's not something too crazy. It's going to reload. All right, so we have this block number, the block number that was used, everything that was used basically for the transaction. You can see it at a glance. So yeah, it makes more sense now. So we give that space. I think the space is better. So we leave that space. So now by the right, we can remove this. We can remove all of this. One more thing, like the timing itself. Let's see if you can get time so that we can display the time in from. We can display the time in front of the from, and let's see how we can do that. So where we have the from, we can see we can add a dot spacer here, the small one. I think the small one is fine, like this. So you can see it displayed here. Very subtle stuff, not too pronounced, very small. But what we can do is because we want it to be like this. I don't know if you can have a view inside the text. I don't know if that's good practice. I guess so. I don't know. And then we have another text. So in this time around, the text is going to be uh, transaction dot the time. I guess I don't know if it has time for us to calculate. It doesn't give us that. We have the from, we have the to, we have the token ID, we have the hash, we have the metadata, the from, the category, the value, and the assets. So it doesn't tell us how long. We need to be able to keep track of how long we perform the transaction. So that's something we should do internally. We should be able to keep track of every transaction we perform, so we know when the transaction was performed. Currently, we don't have that implementation anyway, and that's a problem. That is a problem. Hmm. You know what? I'm not going to use the view inside of this to avoid having that issue. So what we're going to do is just add like a margin to this. Oh, that's perfect. I was inside before. Okay, let's just ignore that. So we have one for each of them, and the same thing applies to um, dot spacer, and same thing applies to the text, which will be the time that that transaction was sent. So we should have a way to keep track of when our transaction was sent, aside from this information that is being passed from or that we are getting from Alchemy right now. So instead of just doing this, we should have a way to keep track of the time. So we don't know when the transaction was performed, or we should have a way to get this from the chain as well. Because if you are using the transaction here that is being passed in from transaction item here, then that means transaction is coming from Alchemy transfer, which we have access to. And one way or the other, we should be able to use that from transactions that is coming in from transaction list. So if you check that from the transaction list also, transaction list should be giving us the transfers. Yes. So that means page dot result should be giving us not just transfers but something else. So let's see if we can calculate the pages, or we can console log the pages. Yeah, data dot pages. Or in this case just data. Let's see if we can do that. So data.pages gave me all of this info. The data is pages params undefined, pages is ID1 RPC, then the result is an object. So let's see data dot pages. The other pages gives me this. Let's see dot transfers. So this is not typed. It's not typed, but we know it contains transfers. So transfers returned. Okay, just results, not just transfers. The pages. Pages gives me okay. Pages is let's see is this. Okay, so pages gives me this. So in this case, I have the transfers. I have the asset to be it, block number to be that, category internal, DRC 155 null null. The from is correct. The hash is correct. Metadata is object, which we should have access to. Then raw contracts. So we should have access to metadata too, which is cool. Okay, so the raw contracts is an object, two is an object, two ID is an object, unique ID is an object, value is an object. Unique ID makes it unique depends on the type, the categories, and the value is also an object. So we need metadata, I'm sure. I don't know if we can get metadata, but let's see. Metadata. So trans result is also an object. So from the result we can get the transfers. So from the transfers we can get the metadata for the first one. So from the transfers we fetch the first one, get the metadata for the first one, based on what we have here, if I'm not mistaken. So it should give us transfers, then we'll pick the first item from transfers, then go down, then get metadata. So let's see what we get. So metadata is block timestamp. Exactly. That's exactly what we are looking for. So when was the transaction performed? Right? That's what we need. So I just knew something should be there available for us. So currently we have this also result or transfers, and if I'm not mistaken, it has not been tampered with. So because transfer should contain metadata too. So let's go back to our list and see if we can use that. So basically, this is how you just find your way around stuff you don't really have access to that was created, especially when it comes to all these libraries. There are ways they can hide a lot of things that you don't have access to. You can always do that, but not everything you have access to. So what I'm going to do is add that from here. So I'm going to have transaction dot we don't have metadata directly on the transaction itself, but we should be able to access that just based on the way we did. The reason why we don't have that is because you can see it's giving me an error now. So we need to see what it is directly. So it's metadata. Metadata was what? Block dot timestamp. So I'm just going to say dot block timestamp lowercase like this. So I think this should work now. So let's check the history. You can see the time. You can see that it's correct. This is the one we did yesterday. It was yesterday, just today rather. This is what we did today. This is the one we did on the 12th, which was 4 days ago. So in order to make it look like this, where we have 1 hour ago, and then before we implement the grouping, also we can implement grouping for it. So if you go back here, and I showed you guys that yesterday that we had a lot of stuff done for settings. Settings is not settings, rather the history, right? Or transactions. I call it transactions, right? We had a lot of things done for transactions on TSX where we implemented all of those things, the spacing, all of those data was done. And we also did the dialogue, which is like the details page, but we are not going there. So let's talk about adding this before we conclude with this. The 1 hour, the date time, the timing that we implemented. Yeah, so let me remove that. So for the timing, for the date time, implementation, this is how we did it. Aside from the gas price, which, like I said, we have the gas price here for you to know how much was spent for the gas. That's when you implement that with the block. So let's see if this even gives us access to that information. Okay, not this. So let's see. Let's just implement the time first. So for the time itself, not for the amount now. Okay, not there. Yeah. So this is how to implement the format balance. So we format the balance like this. I, I really don't want to use that right now. I think that already formatted the balance for us, so we don't need to format the balance again. So we can implement this grouping for our use case, right? And it works perfectly. But then one let's undo that time first. So the timing has this, yeah, this is how the timing is implemented. There's a lot of code, right? But but it works. The first thing is the group transaction. If you want it to work, we have the group transaction and stuff, but you can always implement that eventually. So let's talk about the format timestamp. So the format timestamp is what we used. So okay, it's an utility function that I already provided, so we can use that also. Format timestamp. You can see we already have it here. So format timestamp. So we already have that here. So we can just pass it this way. And so if you check our, you can see, oh, invalidate. So the reason why that's happening, I think I can guess that. For my timestamp is coming from the utility function which we have here. So it's taking a number. Um, so I'm going to take this back to before we imported from our timestamp. We have it as this. So we need to convert it to, if we want it to really work, we need to convert it to a number first of all for that to work. Hmm. So in this case, we have different formatting. We have the format balance to decimal place, fetch it price. We have the formatting for the date, format timestamp, format date, format autolog timeout. Okay, format USD value. So we add that also to be able to like give the proper data. Okay, so we are still going to use the format timestamp. But like we said, it's not going to work because we need to convert it to a date dot to no date with time string. No, I'm not sure that is it. Just now is wrong. So it's not just now because that is not what we are expecting to see. Uh, this is wrong. Yeah, it's not assignable to the type of number. No. Yeah, I can't remember how that was done, but it's not supposed to be like this. So we're supposed to get the block.timestamp as a date time object, and we can perform some operations on it directly. That's how it's supposed to be because it's an actual date time object. So we should be able to convert it to, you know what, let me look for that again. So we get it as a number multiplied by 1000. Oh yeah, that's true. Create a new date, get the difference between the new date, the get time, and the get time of both dates, do the conversions, return dot to locale string. So this is basically what I want to do. To locale string, right? And okay, yeah, if this is greater than less than one, greater than less than 60. Phew. This is the epoch time. How did I forget how to implement time? Yeah. Okay, so set to not to locate string now. Okay, I need to open this so I can always come back to check. So we have the format date, which is different. Um, all right, so we are going to just tweak this a bit. We're going to just say we are taking in timestamp. So timestamp can be either date or number. So we are going to make it dynamic. So if so, it's going to be we're going to create a date object. Let date equal to let date. So if timestamp instance of date, so we use this instead. Instance of number. Um, if timestamp instance of number. Okay, so this is going to be this. So this is just going to be date equals date timestamp. So let's see if this works now. Okay, still invalidate. I'm not even trying this anymore. Okay, so was this supposed to work though? Because the time is got to the timestamp. Except you convert it to it's already a date instance, so we don't need to convert anything. Instance of date. Yeah, it doesn't even get there. So it's not working. It's not an instance of date actually. So we can do this type of timestamp. It's a string. It's a number. Okay. So what I'm going to do is instead of that, it's going to be type of timestamp got to number. Okay. So that should work. 79 says date dot get time. It's not a function, it's undefined. Okay, it works. All I needed to do was just to wrap it in that whatever it is that was supposed to work. And it should have worked, but it didn't. So you can say type of timestamp of got to number to see if it's correct. It's true. Okay, so that should work fine then. Okay, so now we can see the way it displays. It's showing me 1 hour, 2 hours ago, which is correct, 1 day ago, which is correct, 4 days ago. But then there's a problem here. It's showing the latest one um at the bottom, which should be showing at the top, so we can know that okay, this was done recently, right? So that is not being done properly. So we need to change that. So we need to fix that. So we need to go back to our transaction items, which is the right side amount here needs to leave. We don't need that. We just want to know we send the negative and the positive stuff. It's not really, in my opinion, it's not compulsory. We're not, except we really want to take account of what you're doing. I think it's just important to have the negative, the amount, know if it's sent or received. Negative and positive can be too demanding in my opinion. So I don't like using that negative and positive thing, except it's necessary. If I'm doing like okay, but then I just don't like it in this concept. I feel I have other stuff where I've used it. Yes, I have an app that I'm working on whereby I'm using the negative and the positive, like literally using the negative and positive for the transaction details. But in this case, I just feel it's not needed because you're just making transactions for what you can see, and then it's properly defined as sent and received, and then you want more information about it. So it's just good this way. But then if it's needed, you can always add it. It's not really an issue. So let's add something to the transaction here, which is what's alchemy transfer in, interface. So it doesn't have one thing, it doesn't have the metadata, which it should. It should have the block the timestamp. Should have the block the timestamp. Block the timestamp is a date type actually. It's not a type of data. So that way you can see that there's no longer any error. Yeah. So one more thing we did not have, or we should have had in the hook here that we did not have is, okay, let me check. There's something that we showed that we did not, we're not supposed to show, I guess. Now we can see we have data pages. There's one more thing that I wanted to show that was not captured. The raw contract captures a lot of things. Okay, I think that's already undone. The asset type, category, I'm just trying to see if this works for the use case. The raw contract, the ERC721 token ID, okay. The metadata, okay. From hash, then metadata, the wrong contract. Okay, that's fine. So it's correct. So it captures everything now. So we can basically just remove that from here since we are not using it yet. All right, so this gives us all the information we need. You can see this is link, this is descriptive. You can see that at a glance and know that, oh, this was sent to me, that was sent out. So we don't need the positive and negative. Also, you can see your balance at the end of the day. You can display your balance at the top here. I think that's one feature we don't have done yet. And then we don't have this sent and received functionality because we've not been able to send. It's difficult to implement that. I can't test it. So, but oh well and good, this works now. And one more thing, category filters. Drop down menu here is a bit too much, I think. Yeah, I think this is better. And well, if you don't do this, it looks this way. You can then hide two of it, which is cool. Doesn't need to be the same height as that other guy. So I think this is better. Yeah, exactly. So this is literally the entire thing that you need to implement your wallet from scratch. Let's add one more thing to it, the QR code. The QR code should display this, right, which is fine. But we can change the color here from this bluish color since we are using a green themed kind of. Okay, no, I don't want to change it. Let's leave it that way. We have this, right? So we can just tweak one more thing. The user address. The user address is fine, but we can make it better. We have this small size. We can make it Excel, right? Make it then text center this. So it looks like this. And yeah, so this makes a lot more sense. We can remove the padding from it. So it looks like this. Comparing it with this one, comparing it with our implementation here, you can see it looks a bit better, right? So we can do that to make it look this way. Then we can also, you can see similarities, right? All right, so then the next thing is instructions. The instructions are okay, but it could be better. For instance, we have this instruction that is way in terms of like very large, we have the MB2 here. Then we have all of this as so they call it now. So the lists for this one, they are very small. I think we can make it base, and this works for our use case. The instruction is very small too, so we can leave it this way. Then for what we have here, which is the first one, is scan this. We can have it as, I don't know why we have the space. Why? We can have this. Then we have um okay, so let's see this. Next thing is we have it this way, right? The gap is 0. You can make the gap 1 just to make it, or 2. 2 is fine. Just make it look that way. Then we can, looking at it this way, we can change the scan something here to 1 this, then 2 this, then 2 this also. It can look this way, and the text can be and the text here too can be like this. Oh, there's nested text here. We don't need nested text, right? So we have the same thing. We have nested text here that we do not need. And okay, so we can create the same thing here. And the same thing goes for this too. So yes, so we have everything looking a bit more polished, even for the QR code display. So we have the copy button still, we have our close button, we have this, and displays this. So one last thing we can also do is this icon itself is not properly done, because you can see it changes colors most of the time. That's the icon that displays the QR code, which is this trigger icon. So I'm going to use the icon as this, and size. Okay, there's no need for size. Just leave it as it is. Then we import this from the components. Yeah, and we can see that it has size as 16. Then the color, the class name is what we want to set. Text muted, or foreground rather. So we can make it 18. We can make it 24. So you can configure this size here to be much more. You can see this. So it looks better like this. It looks more pronounced. right? So you can see what is supposed to be. 24 is perfect. So this is all that we need to do. One last thing we can do is move this to the theme so that we can change this from the theme itself, and then we are done. But then the main thing that we need to fix that we did not resolve here is this guy, sending transaction. We know that now we can receive transaction and see it from the history, right? But what about sending transactions? That is not complete yet. Why is it not working? That's one thing we need to learn debug. These are things that, well, there are things that happen. I can't deny the fact that they happen. So these are certain things that happen when it comes to development. We encounter stuff like this, and it just happens. We can't really beat it out of the out. We can't beat it most times or prevent it from happening. But we can be sure that yes, this can happen, or this can decide not to happen. So the reason why I'm saying this is because it's something that I need to look into, right? Even after the series is over. And like I said, the series, the everything we've done this series is open. It's literally online. You can go to I will share the GitHub link in the description of this video and all the other videos now that we are done with it. So that's in case you want to use it, add more stuff to it, contribute to it, you are free to do so. So let me add it now. So you can not this one, this one. So everything we've literally added except for the empty, I'm going to, because the empty contains code that doesn't fit yet. So I'm going to push that to the repo now. I'm going to create a new branch. I call it settings implementation, settings screen, and cleanup. So that is it. So now that we've done all of this, I'll commit and push this, right? Push all of this. So I'll push this to the repo. It's not perfect yet. We need to clean some things. We need to make some things work. But this is a good starting point. If you want to convert this to a ready production, all you need to take is like a week of constantly working on it, and you should be able to get everything done. If I'm to work on this for a week, I'm going to make it so polished that I might not even recognize the app again. But the point is, this is what you are expected to have. So yes, can we build a mobile app in a week? Not just in 3 hours like we do per day, but full 8 hours of working on it in a week. Yes, you can. If I was working on this 8 hours a day, you are sure that this will be looking perfectly complete. But we can't spend 8 hours on this call. And even though we spend 2 3 hours on the call daily, the maximum we spent is 4 hours, which was yesterday because we need to do a lot of things. So if you put double that effort in every day for the past 1 week, yes, we can completely build a mobile app series, a Web3 wallet in a week from start to finish to deployment to launching it. We know launching can take time due to the fact that the restrictions are not from the App Store or the Play Store. But we are sure that we can build this without issues, without having any issues. Like this is a full-fledged application that works, right? All I need to do now, if I want to push this, is I can use it to manage my wallet myself because literally this is an account I can log out of like this. And once I log out, I can log in again. So I'm not afraid of losing my wallet or anything. So yeah, I forgot to mention I implemented some of these things. I added some of these designs yesterday so that it looks more polished. And it probably took like how many minutes? Maybe I don't know, 30 minutes ish. Let's say 30, 40 minutes max. So if I was to spend 4 hours on it, the entire thing, the entire display, it will be much more polished than this. Right? 250 2520. And you can see I'm back into the app, logged in. So I can log out and log in like an actual social application. My wallet is the same, my balance retained, backups automatically done. So these are things that we can still do. And then I'm going to be making posts about this too, as much as any update I implement, because I'm still going to update some of the things tonight, especially when I get this done. I'll drop an update. So if you're interested, I'll drop the GitHub repo also. You can check it out. and then you can see what happens. So then you can contribute to it, or if you know how to fix the issues, you can do that. Or you can even try your hands on it to understand everything we've done. Literally everything has been done without even using AI as much as I thought we were going to. But you can see um what we've been able to cover here in the space of a week. Or let me not say a week, in the space of literally, let me say 3 hours per day. That's 24 hours. We've been able to do all of this. Or let me say 21 hours, because 3 times 7 is like 24 hours if you have to combine it. So in less than 24 hours, we've been able to build this successfully with all of the features that you get in an app like MetaMask, Rabby, Phantom, even though it's not the entire application or the entire implementation. But if you spend a week or 2 weeks, you can get all of that done. Think about it. And then push to the Play Store, and then you update automatically from the Play Store, because Expo allow you to do that automatically. Just do an Expo push, Expo update, and then you are done. So imagine what can be done. So this is it. This is basically what we've been trying to do. And so the question of can you build a mobile app wallet in a Web3 mobile wallet in a week? Definitely, yes, you can build that in a week. And this is proof that you can. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop that also in the comments. If you want to see this complete, if you need maybe questions, or you need suggestions, advice on anything, or any form of consultation on how this can be done, you have a project you would like to see to help, to maybe like help with or anything, just feel free to reach out, right? Feel free to reach out, drop a message, reply to it, ask for anything you need, and then I'll do my best to answer that. So this is it. This is everything you see that you see everywhere, right? Literally, we have the settings page, everything done in less than 40 minutes, completely and implemented. So we have all of this done. We have the send page, we have the checks, we have the validation. Okay, the validation for the send is not working yet. Like I said, we've not been able to get it to work, but every other thing is just to debug it, something that can be done if you give more time to it, and then we can see. So thank you so much, guys, for staying tuned to this series from part 1 to part 7. I have another series planned for the coming week. This is more of doesn't really, I'll say, have anything to do with like mobile development, but just going to be more of like vibes and games for next week. So if you're interested, also stay tuned for that one. It's going to be fun, and I'm sure you learn a lot as well. So that's it for this week, and that's it for this series. So thank you so much for watching, to everyone that watched the series, and yeah. So see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. And like I said, one last thing, I'll still continue to work on this until it's complete, and then I'll keep pushing to the repo. Like I said, I'm going to add that to the description for this video, so you can also tweak and add stuff to it as well. Yeah, so that is it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.